So we're going to start off with Roma's Rants. So I got a rant about this. So we're going to go over the riots and the disorder that's going on in the UK. And let's talk about the reasons why this happened. All right. And how the authorities are handling it and what they decided to do, which I'll let you be the judge on that one. But anyways, let's get into it. So we're going to start off with this first video. If you go ahead and kill the music. Let's see. And this is from, again, if I share the right tab. So apparently this is how it all started.
The day all this stuff started kicking off, I was just on YouTube scrolling and I found a live feed. This guy was pulling feeds off of TikTok, and I think TikTok has a live mode because that's what I was seeing, like kind of what Periscope was. And it was 5, 6, 7, 8 cameras, independent people all over the place. They were just people in this crowd.
But I think the reason why, I'm going to show you here in a second. This is what happened right before this. Now, I'm not exactly sure why this situation unfolded, but you're about to find out in a second. All right, so as you can see right now, they've got a bunch of police officers quartering off an area. All right, because they're about to come and take somebody away, and I'm not exactly I wasn't exactly sure what this was when I first saw it, but then somebody came out with a second video, which is this video here, and I'm still kind of confused about it, but I guess we'll find out. Let's see.
The kid. It's literally a little kid. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. That crowd would tear him up. If you try to take a little kid out of someone's house in my neighborhood, bro.
Yeah, that's like taking my kid. I mean, I'll tell you right now, he would not. He would be the last person to leave my house. But I've been trying to find information about this, and I'm not exactly sure why, but I know that this kind of started off everything that happened over in the UK. I don't know who that kid is. I don't know what he did. I don't know if whether, there are different stories out there. If there's anybody in the audience that knows a little bit more about it than I do, please post it out. Oh, I see. He said St. Miles says this was a child endangerment case in an Islamic neighborhood.
Yeah, it says the riot started as a protest over social services removed 4 children from a family of East European descent. That's weird.
Yeah, but I wonder why it would start such a riot like that. That's because, I mean, that's a completely different culture than what we have over here. I'm pretty sure they probably understand a little bit more than we do. Because the Middle Eastern culture that they have in the UK is kind of like the Spanish culture that we have over here. We're not around it all the time, but we understand it or whatnot.
Some degree, yeah.
To some degree. But they would probably know a lot more about that than that. But there's also some other things that's happening over in the UK. Such as this dude here. So this is from the Daily Mail. A Muslim abuser who didn't know that sex with a girl of 13 was illegal and is spared jail. Now, this next
that wouldn't fly in America.
Oh, that wouldn't fly here at all. I mean, you probably wouldn't even make it to jail, to be honest with you. But we've got something else here in our Discord chat. Somebody just posted Vash. He said the tip of the hat that started the Leeds riot. I'll go ahead and pull that up here in a second. So, but this is another thing that's going on over there. Um, Adil Rashid admitted to traveling north Nottingham and having sex with the girl and met 13-year-old on Facebook, and they communicated by text and phone for 2 months before they met. He was educated in madrasa and had little experience with women. Said he had been taught women are no more worthy than a lollipop that has been dropped on the ground. Oh my God. Uh, and then added that he was reluctant to have sex, but he was tempted by the girl. I guess that's the guy right there. Yeah, this is my producer's talking to me in my ear. He's like, "That's literal victim blaming."
Okay, so the logic behind the being tempted by the girl is that because they have such a low view of women, period, that because she's just because like, and let's be honest, as teenagers, that we start growing up, a lot of kids that are underage, their physiology is adult functionally, brains are not, right? They may not be fully developed adult functionality, but it's a thing, so you might be attracted physiologically to somebody. That just doesn't make it right, though, right? I'm not making the argument that it's right. So what I'm saying is these guys, because they have a low view of women, they are offloading all of their self-responsibility in Islamic culture, in many circles of Islamic culture, where, oh, she's evil because of she tempted me, but in reality, you are led as the individual into heinous acts by your own desires. You're tempted because there's an opportunity to act out things you already want to do.
Exactly.
So he's victim blaming at this point. Number one, his culture has taught him that women are just objects entirely. And two, it's taught him to blame the other, to blame the thing that he has just committed the sin against, if you will.
Exactly. Right. And we have a lot of issues with that here in the United States, where you're given two choices. Right? You're given a choice to do something noble, and you're given a choice to do something not noble. And it's always the not noble thing because it's the easiest at that point in time. So you can only imagine this if you have any easy excuse to do what you do. Just watch Dateline NBC with what's his name, Chris Hansen, and you'll see a lot about that. Anyways, let me go ahead and continue. A Muslim who raped a 13-year-old girl he groomed on Facebook has been spared prison sentence after a judge heard that he was to an Islamic faith school where he was taught that women are worthless. Adil Rashid, 18, claimed that he was not aware that it was illegal for him to have sex with the girl because his education left him ignorant of British law. Yesterday, Judge Michael Stokes, remember that name, handed Rashid a suspended sentence, saying, although chronologically 18 is quite clear from the reports that they're very naive and immature when it comes to sexual matters. Earlier, Nottingham Crown Court heard that such crimes usually result in 4 to 7 year prison sentence, but the judge said that because Rashid was passive and lacking assertiveness, sending him to jail might cause him more damage than good. Somebody please make some sense out of that. Anyone? Remember that name. Who was the judge? Judge Michael Stokes.
Okay, Michael Stokes. Let's remember.
Remember him.
Does this kind of come up again? I'm assuming from the way if I know Roma.
Oh! It's either going to come up again, or I'm going to show you something different. That's the complete opposite, which I always do. Which, let's go over here to TikTok. If you guys remember, a couple of days ago, we kind of did a precursor into what we were doing this weekend, but this is a police officer in the UK that's arresting somebody for speech. So
2023 1440, arresting you on suspicion of improper use of the electronic communications network under 127 Communications Act. Okay, so you do not have to save it. that may harm your defence if you don't mention one question, something which you later on in court. Anything you do say may be given evidence. Do you understand that?
So I'm actually being
You're
arrested.
going to be arrested, okay?
Right.
Take you up to the police station.
Right.
Ask you, okay, this is in relation to some comments that you've made on a Facebook page. Okay?
Oh, really? Oh, it's a Facebook crime, is it?
Okay.
Right.
So we need to ask you some questions about that.
Right.
Have you got anything in your pockets?
Are they inside of his house?
Mhm.
They're just in his house, like, hey, by the way, we're going to arrest you and ask you some questions about stuff.
Just remember everything that we threw off from Britain in 1770s. They didn't reform necessarily all of them. Selectively, they didn't reform them. So these police are just, people have no freedom of speech over there. They have no right to redress of grievances like we do. Though we have, our foundations are still British common law. That's a fact. Now, some states like Louisiana, I found out recently, have Napoleonic law in courts, which is something really bizarre. Go look into that. That's a rabbit hole, and it's
Should be an episode.
yeah, we might end up having to do a constitutional corner or something crazy like that on it. But anyway, British common law is the foundation of American law. We just decided we were going to shore it up with the Bill of Rights. You know, we put things in place to say, all right, the courts are supposed to work like this. However, the Crown has decided to overstep. And so we put in things that protect from somebody being able to just come up to your house and take you out of your house. Sorry, you're being arrested on suspicion of improper use of electronics, whatever act, whatever that is that they've got there.
Yeah.
Abuse of a communication system, right? Those kinds of laws are generally passed. Things that sound like that in the United States are things where, phone freakers, where guys would figure out the dial tone for payphones, or like if you were trying to call into a corporate system, you could use dial tones and you could get through the different things and get into the back end of stuff. Like, there's all kinds of crazy stuff like that. So there are legitimate abuses of communications devices. We have, laws against hacking and obtaining improper access. Well, this isn't improper access. This is just public commons, people making comments on the internet. Britain doesn't like that. They don't like that because they never put protections in place, and they're more apologetic than Canada sounds like they are, because they don't want to ruffle anybody's feathers. They don't want to be offensive to nobody, and it's like, I get it. You want to respect cultures to a certain degree, but even when you're in somebody else's, whatever happened to the when in Rome, right? When in Rome, abide by the laws of Rome. Not just do like the Romans do in that doing things, but just don't do the things they're not allowed to do. In Britain, these people are saying, the common people are saying, look, we have laws against things like prostitution and exploitation and all of that. And yet you're allowing an entire populace of people to get away with some of that stuff. And I think that that's what this one case is here, because there was something where these kids were going to be taken out of the country from what I was just reading a little bit on the Daily Mail. And, there's so many abuses of the system over there, of the people under a system that has no protection for them because there's no restrictions on government.
Right. Kind of like, the Constitution. Because I'm about to show you a video after we get through this. I'm going to show you something that, when you talk about overstepping your bounds on your own country, I've actually had to deal with this week on a completely different matter. But this in particular, you're going to be like, wait, what? You said you're going to do what? You're about to find out, like, what the top authorities feel like their authorities are. But let's go ahead and finish off with this video, and then we'll get into that.
I've got my keys. No, that's about it. I think keys.
So, anyone who's been arrested, we can search them under Section 32 and basically remove their tax.
Right.
That's for dangerous items.
I mean, you said I was going to be arrested under some what information? But I'm going to be arrested for posting on Facebook.
Some comments that are offensive, obscene, and people have made a complaint about that, and it's.
And can you tell me what this comment was?
Okay, well, we'll do that when we interview.
All right. And so, what am I going to be locked up for the night, or?
Well, hopefully not.
Right. So, that in particular that's a scary thought, because that's happening in Britain.
Mm-hmm.
You never thought that would happen in Britain.
Well,
but, go ahead.
Yeah, you don't have. The only restrictions on freedom of speech are when you're inciting, calls to violence, incitement of violence. We have harassment law, right, where you're constantly at somebody. I mean, even some speech can be considered assault if you're within close proximity of a person and they're in imminent danger. They feel as if they're in imminent danger and you have apprehended them in some way. You don't even have to touch a person. You just back them into a corner and you're assault. Yeah. It's assault, right?
Yeah.
But this isn't even come close. This is a guy that sounds like he's probably not left his house in a while. Maybe he takes a stroll. He probably just watches TV and talks trash on the internet like anybody else does. Not that you should talk trash on the internet, but maybe it's all it's.
It's when you impede somebody else's free will.
Yeah.
So when you impede on somebody else's free will, that's when it becomes a problem. I mean, you can sit there, you can call me names, you can call me whatever, but if I have the freedom to walk away and say, okay, I don't have to deal with you, that's fine. But once you impede that ability for me to have free will, and you say, no, you can't walk away or back into a corner like Skrapp said, like, that's when it becomes a problem, because now you're forcing somebody into a verbal combat session, which could potentially turn into something different. So I completely understand, but here's another video of what could happen. Well, I should say, coming to Canada near you.
Just cutting the door completely in half. Like,
this is literally for posting online. Like
spicy memes on the internets. Are you gonna bust my front door in?
Spicy means more like spicy mayonnaise. Like
spicy mayonnaise, like, right. I think these have a Scoville rating of about not 0. Okay.
Oh my goodness. Like,
well, how spicy could a Canadian meme get? Oh, sorry, I said that. Sorry. That's where I said, so I switched my accent. Sorry, yeah. Not sorry.
But no, but like, and again, we're about to get into something that's very serious. But let's start off from that. Like, that's what you're gonna do. Can you imagine if somebody was cutting down your door? Like, you don't know who that is. You know, and I didn't even know they had tools that strong to bust open doors like that. Like, but anyways,
I'm sorry, Mr. Big Head. I didn't mean to talk about your head being so big.
But that's what happens.
Sorry, that's Australia.
Yeah, it's Australia. But that's what happens when you keep giving your government inches and inches and inches and inches, and then it gets to a point in which they just start doing things that that could potentially get them in trouble. But if you allow these things to happen, if you vote people in that are okay with this, then it's going to come to you. It will eventually come to you, regardless, you know. And that's why over here, where we have our First and Second Amendments, there's a reason for that.
And right now, our Second Amendment is winning quite a bit.
Really
ATF, the ATF just got their teeth kicked in again on the pistol brace rule. We got bump stocks and forced reset triggers back on the menu, boys. Let's go. And gals. Dude, we know a chick in our server that has a bigger thing for guns than most guys I know, okay? I'm just saying, I think her husband has to check the checkbook and the receipts to find out where she actually spent her money, because I've heard her tell stories about it, and she's every time, like, I remember when Brandon Herrera posted the video where he got the AK-50 done, and she was in here like just going off like, take my money, all of it. All of it. So yeah, Second Amendment's winning in the United States. We have had ATF show up to people's doors that just did searches on Gunbroker. I'm not here to say anything bad about Gunbroker. I don't know exactly what their deal is, but how is the ATF finding out that people on Gunbroker are doing basic searches for things? You know, so let's not think we're that much better than Britain or Canada or other countries that are on this kind of a thing. But at least our First Amendment is very well protected, because as soon as they start doing this kind of stuff, they have to deal with the Second Amendment first. All these other countries have their guns taken away. They even took knives away from people in Canada for the most part. I think the last time I heard about somebody with more firearms than you can legally have to even hunt with, which is probably not much, and you have to have it all locked up and all those things in Britain, was like some really old retired guy that died and nobody had seen anything of him. And when they came to do the well check on him, he had a museum's worth of like vintage and old firearms and weaponry and things from you name the war, and he probably had it. And they had to send a bomb squad in because they didn't know if the grenades he had were live or not. He had the potato mashers from World War II, the German stick grenade.
Oh,
yeah, those big bang boom batons that they used. Yes, he had some of that stuff. He had the boom. Those things were So he died like in his home, natural causes, and they walked in and were like, how did he get all of this? Well, guess what? You know, some people are just quiet about their business, and he was a collector, and he just said the government don't need to know, and nobody need to know what I do. I do it on my own. And he had a museum's worth of firearms, and I think they ended up donating. I think they ended up getting transferred to like a historical society or something. But without him, a lot of that stuff would not have been preserved.
Yeah.
You know, and that's the other thing about us in the United States is it's not like everybody who has a gun has, you know, a John Wick back room or that kind of thing.
Speak for yourself, Skrapp.
Most of us, hey, that's only in guitars, okay? This is technically the only 6 gun I own, and that's the name of the guitar. But most gun owners have what you would hunt with. You know, different seasons of hunting. You have your self-defense, and you have your sport rifles. And you have a handful that you can't carry them all the time. What are you going to do with one dude or a couple of people with a whole ton of guns? There's a certain place where it's like, okay, now you're just collecting because you like them, right? You're not building militias, and the majority of firearms are owned by people who do collecting in the United States. However, there are more guns than there are people in this country. So, like, you have to get through all of that
literally,
before you can shove someone's door in and get away with it over a mean tweet. That's what will happen.
And speaking of the Second Amendment, I'm going to give you a reason why we have one. And I have to show you this because this is just... This is the UK Police Commissioner... This is from the New York Times. He says, UK Police Commissioner threatens to extradite jail U.S. citizens over online posts. We will come after you. Okay, so I had to try.
Come
and look
on.
up this video.
My,
I had to look.
come
up
on,
this
try
video.
me.
So
Try.
let's have some fun here. All right, let's kill the music. I want to see exactly what he had to say. So let's go.
People, and whether you're in this country committing crimes on the streets or committing crimes from further afield online, we will come after you.
Talk to me about that, because we have seen some high-profile figures whipping up the hatred. You talked about it in there with the officers, in fact, about this being added to by online commentary. I mean, I'm even thinking of the likes of Elon Musk getting involved. What are you considering when it comes to dealing with people who are whipping up this kind of behaviour from behind a keyboard, maybe in a different country?
Being a keyboard warrior does not make you safe from the law. You can be guilty of offences of incitement, of stirring up racial hatred. There are numerous terrorist offences regarding the sort of publishing of material. All of those offences are in play if people are provoking hatred and violence on the streets, and we'll come after those individuals just as we will physically confront on the streets the thugs and the obs who are causing the problems for.
Okay, hold on. Full stop. Give me a second here. So what exactly are you gonna do? You're gonna come up to my house with a scroll being like, I hereby declare you under arrest for like like what exactly? And because I see it less like the scroll and more like that scene in the movie Clue, where it's like, I'm the walking telegram. Like literally, what are you gonna do? Because we have
Nothing.
Yeah, they're not
Nothing.
They're not doing nothing. Like, so I just
The last time they tried, the last time that they tried to take prisoners off of United States soil and send them back to Britain, we sent them packing. And I'm not saying, I know it's, try again. I dare you. And if you try to send they would have to send federal agents into counties. And I'm telling you right now, I would have local sheriffs all over some fed over here saying, hey, we're taking you to Britain. I wouldn't even have to do anything. Ohio does not like the feds. Go check out the videos out of Columbus where a bunch of ATF guys tried that. You know, his blue polo and everything, had his lanyard and everything, talking trash to a city cop down in Colombo. Stop. It didn't work out so well. They arrested him and they let him go. But they arrested him and he spent a trip down to the station and they said, all right, you're done. Because somebody called in. It was like, hey, there's a dude out here in a polo with a gun. We don't know who this dude is. He's knocking on doors. Yep. Something. And the police just showed up and was like, nah, you're causing problems. Out. Like, we're not going to do that. We're not.
It's not even that, but like, I don't even know where you would start because there's so many different rights and stuff that we have here in different states, and not just the Constitution, but I mean, could you imagine like some Green Beret or something heading down to, you know, rural Nebraska and saying, hey, we're going to be extraditing you to the UK. They're going to be like, well, you're going to have to get through all those guys over there. It's just,
there would be, it would not be good. It would be, I hope the best for Britain, and I hope that they do what we did and throw off whatever this garbage is that the Crown is trying. But I don't think they have the manpower for it. I don't think they have the hardware for it. I don't think they can. I don't think they can throw it off. Sorry, guys.
I don't either.
I have low expectations for what Britain's going to become after this. Like, just sorry.
Attainder Doctrine. Thank you, Elizabethy213. By the way, you should check out her channel. She does a lot of reaction videos on hip hop and rap. You don't want to miss out on that. But she sent me this here, and this is called this is article S9C3.2, bills of attainder doctrine. It says no bill of attainder or ex post facto law shall be passed. Supreme Court causes have been given broad and generous meaning to the constitutional protection against bills of attainder by interpreting it to ban not only legislation imposing a death sentence as termed used in English common law, but also legislation that imposes other forms of punishment in specific persons without trial. However, the court has emphasized that legislation does not violate the Bill of Attainder clause simply because it places legal burdens on specific individual or group. Rather, as discussed in more detail below, the Bill of Attainder must also inflict punishment. Another key feature of the Bill of Attainder is that it applies retroactively. The Supreme Court has held that the Bill of Attainder clause does not apply to legislation that is intended to prevent future action rather than to punish past action. So basically, you can't play Minority Report.
Right. Or just because someone said something that someone else might take a certain way doesn't mean you get to punish them for it. Now, we do have laws about domestic terrorism, where if you call to violence against a certain people on for political purposes, if you remember UC Berkeley, back when Milo Yiannopoulos was going to be there and they burned that place to the ground, I don't know to the ground, but they burned a lot of stuff and they rioted. There was an Asian lady that was on, there was some radical, lefty person at the time. I remember Glenn Beck talking about it, and it's like, are you going to arrest her? Because the comments she made were saying, hey, we need to burn it down, throw bricks, all this stuff. She was actually saying all of the things. It's like, well, that's calls to violence. That's actually a call. That's called to action. To do things and to say do it. And the Democrats have been doing it for the better part of a decade, if not more. So, that's those people don't. But yet we're gonna just say, okay, someone's spicy opinion about maybe not even spicy, just like, hey, I don't think these people that are here should be doing the things they're doing, and the police should be enforcing the law on everybody, not just some of us. Now, you get to go to prison for that in Britain. Exactly. Just for calling it out. All you have to do is say, hey, it's those people over there, right or wrong. You can be dead right about it being a certain particular group of people doing a thing. And
it's not about right or wrong anymore. That's what they've decided. It's not about the truth, it's about my truth, or it's about, that all that BS where people feel like, they need to justify their actions, so they create this scenario in their head where they feel like they're a victim, and it this victimization mindset, that's what that stems from. Because if you're a victim, then you get notoriety. You become popular. Because they couldn't do it themselves, so they have to manufacture a reason to do so. It's I mean, that's all I got to say about that. Come fight me.
Double standard. If it wasn't for double standards, there'd be no standard.
Exactly.
I watched a clip of this professor, Penn State professor. He's talking about, in this clip, he was talking about the double standard racism, and I'll try to make it short, but he brings up the issue of Papa John Schnatter, I think is his last name, where he was on a conference call and they were talking about the culture within the company and what's acceptable and not acceptable to say, and the issue of racism, and the N-bomb came up. And he quoted it. He used it in a quote, an example, line, like you would open up any Merriam-Webster dictionary and, and when they have the word used in context for, in the definition, that's what he did. As an example of how, it's like, oh, we didn't just run around saying blah, 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 or something like that. I forget what exactly was he said. It's just, he was decrying it. He was, so he gets fired. Well, then there was this security guard like a resource officer at a school. Black guy, dreads, all the things, whatever. And there was a kid that was being unruly. He had to be forcibly taken out of the school, spitting profanity and everything and all that. And the resource officer had a hold of him, and the kid started dropping the N-bomb, calling him that. And he said, dude, you gotta stop calling me that wrestle him out. You gotta stop calling me that, blah, 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 on and on.
Mhm.
Until finally he said, dude, stop calling me. And he drops the N-bomb in the sentence. Well, guess what? He gets fired. And guess what the name of the principal was? Karen. It's a white lady named Karen. Fired the black cop resource officer for dropping the N-bomb because of a zero tolerance policy. Well, enough of an uproar ensued and got him his job back, but still John Schnatter is not no longer the CEO or affiliated with Papa John's. It's the same thing. Why is Papa John not reinstated? If John doesn't have his job, then the cop shouldn't have his job. By the same standard, if we're holding to the same standard. Right? So this racism thing is a whole, it's being used again on the Islam front over there when it's like, oh, you're calling out one group of people or you're saying this about them, but you can call out the Anglos and white people and call them racist and whatnot, but you can't, and call out all the flaws in whatever British culture has been. But the British people who have lived there for centuries, millenniums, aren't allowed to call out the culture of these people that are imported into their territory that refuse to become a part of it, a part of the culture at large.
Exactly. Yeah, and we got another thing on the bill of attainment here. So this is from a spork on YouTube. He says, bill of attainment that was called. I need to read that. Should be interesting with some of the AI groups merging using data to build profiles on people, but essentially trying to get the right up to pre-crime.
Yeah,
right.
Pre-crime is a thing that's been floated in Louisiana and places with AI group. There's a group that deploys certain. It's a software that's used to track terrorism. People who are likely to do terrorism and things in other countries and to track that kind of stuff. What it's not supposed to be used for is tracking gang violence and people who are potentially violent offenders. And in Louisiana, they actually implemented it in a couple of districts as a pilot.
Mm-hmm.
And it uses social media. I guarantee you that's what they're doing over there in Britain right now.
Oh, absolutely.
We need to get one of our buddies on talk about AI and that kind of thing and how good the training on the AI actually is for that. Maybe Turtle knows some about that.
Yeah, we can definitely ask him and get through that. But to kind of end out this segment, Britain, good luck. Good luck on your future endeavors, because you are definitely not going to scare us with your with your tactics, because you're not coming over here and grabbing anybody without like full resistance. And when we talk full resistance, I mean it states in our Constitution, domestic or foreign or domestic. You don't get to make your own rules over here. Another thing that I